My husband kept disappearing every Sunday saying he needed space. I followed him and found him coaching a little league team with the daughter he never told me about. Now he says I'm overreacting. My name's Elena, 33, female, and I've been married to Tom, 35, for 6 years. He used to be my safe place. That guy who always made the coffee in the morning, who rubbed my feet after double shifts, who would randomly show up at work with a gas station rose and a dumb grin like he'd just robbed Cupid. I used to tell people, he's not perfect, but he's my home. But for the past year, he's been leaving every Sunday. No explanation. Just, I need some space. Time for myself. He'd say it with this tight-lipped tone like I was the unreasonable one for asking. No invite, no conversation. Just his car disappearing down the street every Sunday morning while I folded laundry and wondered what the hell had shifted in our marriage. At first, I believed him. Everyone needs alone time, right? Especially after the year we had. My dad's heart attack, the miscarriage, our savings taking a hit. I figured he was decompressing. I didn't want to be the paranoid wife. But you can't ignore the gut punch forever. The way he started taking extra long showers before he left. How he'd get jumpy if I touched his phone. And the excuses? Paper thin. Once he said he was hiking, but came home with no dirt on his shoes. Another time it was just driving around, but the mileage on the car said he'd gone almost 90 miles. That's not driving. That's going somewhere. And then there was the dream. 3 Sundays ago, I had this dream where he was in a park surrounded by kids. Not ours. We never had kids. These were strangers. But he looked so happy. He was laughing, clapping, like a proud dad. I woke up gasping, heart racing, drenched in sweat, and that's when I knew. I couldn't keep pretending this was normal. So last Sunday, I followed him. I waited 5 minutes after he left, grabbed my keys and drove after him. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely grip the wheel. I kept thinking, what if it's an affair? What if I find out something I can't come back from? What if this is the day my marriage actually dies? He drove out of town, past the suburbs, into a small neighborhood with a little league field tucked behind a middle school. He parked. I watched him get out of the car, wearing a baseball cap I didn't recognize and carrying a cooler. He walked up to the field like he belonged there. Then I saw her, a little girl, maybe 7 or 8, light brown curls tied in a messy ponytail, clutching a glove too big for her hand. She ran up to him and yelled, "Daddy!" before launching herself into his arms. He caught her like he'd done it 1,000 times, like it was muscle memory. I felt something in me rupture, like my lungs forgot how to work. I couldn't even cry. I just sat there in my car watching my husband, a man who told me he needed space, grin like an idiot while high-fiving a bunch of kids and kissing the forehead of a daughter I never knew existed. He has a daughter, a whole child, and I never knew. He never told me. I went home numb. He got back 3 hours later. I didn't say anything. Not yet, but I will. And when I do, I'm not coming at him with tears. I'm coming with truth. He noticed something was off the moment he stepped inside. My silence isn't quiet. It's sharp. It's the kind that fills the house like smoke after a fire. He dropped his keys in the bowl like always, did that same fake yawn-stretch combo and said, "You good?" I didn't answer. He asked again, more cautious this time. "Elena? What's wrong?" Still nothing. He came over, kissed the top of my head like always, like I hadn't just watched him living a second life 3 towns over. And maybe if he hadn't done that, if he'd just come clean, maybe this whole thing would have gone differently. But he didn't. He played house. He microwaved leftover chili. He asked if I wanted to watch that dumb show we always half-watch. I stared at him and thought, this man has a whole other family and is worried about what's on Hulu. Around midnight, I finally broke. "You're a father." He froze, spoon halfway to his mouth. His eyes went wide, then narrowed like he was trying to figure out how much I knew. I didn't give him the chance. "I saw you, Tom. Sunday, at the field. With her." His face. God, I'll never forget his face. Like someone had yanked the air out of him. He put the spoon down, stood up too fast, knocked over the bowl. "Elena," he started, stepping toward me. "I was going to tell you." "No, you weren't." He didn't even deny it. He just stood there, hands twitching at his sides like he didn't know what to do with himself. "It's complicated," he muttered. I laughed. Not a funny laugh. A broken, bitter, what the hell is my life laugh. "Complicated? That's your excuse? You lied to me. For years." Then he hit me with the line that would burn into my brain forever. "I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you." "Oh, so that's the level of delusion we're working with." I stared at him. "How old is she?" He flinched. 7. 7. Meaning this didn't happen before us? This was during us. He fathered a child while we were married. My knees actually gave out. Like a cliché movie scene. I sat on the floor, and for a second, I couldn't breathe. He crouched down, reaching for me. "She wasn't planned, Elena. Her mom didn't even tell me until after." "After what?" I snapped. "After you came back from one of your Sunday drives and tucked me into bed like nothing was wrong?" He tried to explain, spiraling into half-truths about the girl's mother, Melissa, apparently. Said it was a fling. Said he didn't even know she was pregnant until the girl was 5. Said Melissa didn't want child support, just wanted him to be involved. And you agreed, without telling your wife, he whispered. I didn't want to lose you. I stared at him, stunned by the gall. You lost me the second you chose to live two lives. You just didn't have the guts to admit it. Then came the kicker. He looked me in the eye and said, You're overreacting. I didn't cheat. I'm just trying to do right by my daughter. That was the moment I realized he truly didn't get it. This wasn't just about the affair, or lack of one. It was about the years of Sundays I spent thinking I was the problem, that I was too clingy, too emotional, too needy. While he was out there coaching Little League and playing dad to a child I didn't even know existed. And now he wants to call me dramatic? I went cold. You need to leave. Elena, please. Number go. He hesitated like he thought he could talk me down, like this was just another fight we'd move past. But something had snapped in me. Something final. I didn't raise my voice. I just stood up, looked him dead in the eye and said, You've been living a lie. I'm done being part of it. He left that night with nothing but his keys and the clothes on his back. Tried to act like it was temporary, like we were just cooling off. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I just closed the door behind him and slid the deadbolt with a calmness that felt completely alien in my own body. Then I cried. Not loud sobs, not movie tears. I sat in the hallway, forehead against the door, knees drawn up like a kid hiding from thunder, and I just leaked. Silent, steady, because grief doesn't always come like a storm. Sometimes it's a slow, choking fog. I didn't sleep that night. Just stared at the ceiling fan spinning in lazy circles above my bed, listening to all the memories in the room start to rot. Sunday mornings, laughter, pancakes, him dancing in boxers, gone, replaced by this thudding, nauseating truth. I didn't know my husband. The next few days were brutal. I couldn't concentrate. I left the coffee pot on. Burned eggs, forgot to feed the dog. And the worst part? I missed him. Missed the version of him that never really existed. That's the cruelest kind of grief. Mourning someone who's still alive, just not who you thought they were. But then Tuesday came, and with it, Melissa. She showed up at my job. I work as a dental assistant. It's not glamorous, but I like it. Clean teeth, nervous patients, a good team. It's routine, safe, until that day. Receptionist buzzes me, says there's a woman here to see me, claims it's urgent. I step into the lobby and see her, tall, polished, early 40s maybe, wearing that smug suburban mom uniform, jeans that cost more than my week's groceries, a crossbody bag slung too casually, perfectly tousled hair. Elena? She asks, sweet as poison. I nod, confused. I'm Melissa, she says, and my stomach drops so hard I have to grip the counter. I just thought we should talk, she says, woman to woman. My first instinct? Punch her. My second? Cry. But I did neither. I told the receptionist I'd be out for lunch and followed her to the parking lot. We sat in her Lexus. Leather seats, pine air freshener, AC blasting too cold. I just wanted to clear the air, she said, all glossy empathy. I didn't mean for this to affect your marriage. I laughed, out loud. You didn't mean to? She blinked. Well, I didn't know he hadn't told you. You knew he was married. She didn't deny it. I figured if he wanted to tell you, he would've. I thought maybe you two had some kind of arrangement. That word. Arrangement. Like I'd willingly signed up to be the idiot wife while they played secret happy family. I didn't want child support, she said. I just wanted him in her life, that's all. I stared at her. You let my husband lie to me. For years, while he played dad to your kid behind my back. She's his daughter, Melissa said. He deserves to know her, and I deserve to know he had one. I snapped. Silence. Then she said the thing that flipped a switch in me. I know you're upset, but please don't punish the child for this. She's innocent. I didn't respond. Because she was right. And because in that moment something cold and furious settled into my chest. Melissa thought I was going to disappear, cry, move on. But she had no idea who I was. If she thought I'd go quietly, she was dead wrong. I didn't sleep that night either. I laid awake, staring at the ceiling again. But this time, there were no tears. Just this slow, burning clarity. You ever reach that point where the hurt calcifies into something sharper? Where it's not sadness anymore, but precision? That's where I was. I thought about the 7 years of my marriage. The Sundays I spent believing I was the problem. The therapy I paid for, thinking maybe I was too dependent, too emotional, too much. Meanwhile, Tom was slipping away week by week like I wouldn't notice. Like I didn't matter enough to deserve the truth. And now Melissa, with her perfect teeth and Lexus air conditioning, had the audacity to ask me not to punish the child. Let me be clear, I wasn't planning on punishing that little girl. She didn't ask for any of this. But Melissa and Tom? Oh, they were going to learn what it felt like to lose something precious. So I started digging. Tom and I shared everything legally. House, bank accounts, health insurance. We didn't have kids, but I was listed as his emergency contact, beneficiary, everything, because that's what you do when you trust someone. And he had never bothered to take me off anything. The first thing I did was pull up our joint account, the one where I'd been depositing my paycheck for the past 6 years, the same account he'd been using to pay for gas, groceries, and apparently snacks for his Little League team. I drained it, transferred every cent to a personal account I opened that morning. He texted at noon, "Hey, did the bank app glitch? Accounts showing empty." I didn't reply. By 3 p.m., I was meeting with a lawyer, not for a divorce. Not yet. I wanted to know what my options were first. Turns out, I had more power than I thought. Tom had added Melissa's daughter to our health insurance plan, our plan, without telling me. When I brought it up to the lawyer, he just smiled and said, "Let him try to explain that in court." But that wasn't even the revenge, that was just the warm-up. Here's where it got delicious. That weekend, I drove to the Little League field, not to confront him. I didn't even get out of the car. I just watched. Watched him laugh, high-five the kids, talk to the other parents like he was just some proud suburban dad. Then I took out my phone and started filming. Because what Tom didn't realize was that his coaching gig, it wasn't just a hobby. He'd told his work he was unavailable Sundays because of church and family obligations. Religious exemption for weekend shifts. HR approved. His job doesn't allow outside commitments that interfere with work hours unless disclosed and cleared. Coaching, especially for a team in another district, was a major policy violation. So I sent the video, along with timestamps, the league's website, and a polite, anonymous note to his HR department. It wasn't just petty, it was precise. Because if Tom wanted to live two lives, I was going to make damn sure he lost them both. Update 1. First off, thank you. I didn't expect this story to blow up the way it did. The DMs, the comments, the people saying, "Light him up," or "I hope you went nuclear." Y'all had me ugly laughing through the rage. Some of you even made memes. One person said, "She's not overreacting, she's under-avenging." I've never felt so seen in my life. Anyway, here's where we're at. It took exactly 3 days after that anonymous HR email for the fallout to hit. Tom showed up at my door looking like he'd been run over emotionally. Hoodie, sweatpants, no bounce in his step. Just stood there holding his phone with this wild, shell-shocked look. "You got me fired," he said, voice shaking like I'd murdered his dog. Correction. His employer put him on leave pending review. His coaching gig violated the ethics clause of his contract. Apparently, there were multiple complaints about his schedule and favoritism toward one of the girls on the team, his daughter no less. And now, the HR department had footage, timestamps, emails, the works. He tried to act betrayed, like I'd burned down his dream. "Elena, that team means everything to me," he said. "That's my daughter." And maybe the old me would have felt a twinge of guilt. But the new me, the one he gaslit for years, she just stood there, arms crossed, watching him unravel. "You should have thought of that before you built your secret family on my dime," I told him. And then, true to form, he snapped, started yelling. Not full-on rage, but this shaky, indignant explosion, like he couldn't believe I'd actually followed through. "You've ruined everything," he spat. "I was trying to keep it together. I had it balanced until I what?" I cut in. "Stopped playing dumb?" He called me bitter, said I was punishing his daughter, claimed I was jealous because I couldn't give him kids. Yeah, he went there. That's when I slapped him. Not proud, not advocating violence, but it wasn't about the slap. It was about the silence after. He touched his cheek like he couldn't believe it, and I looked him straight in the eye and said, "That's what it feels like, to get hit with something you didn't see coming." He left, finally, and he hasn't been back since. But guess who has? Melissa. Yep, she called me 2 days later crying, said Tom was falling apart, that he's lost his job, the league kicked him out, and he hasn't been returning her calls. Said she didn't deserve this, that her daughter was confused, upset, asking questions she couldn't answer. I listened, let her sob. Then I said, "You lied to me for years. You built this little fantasy world on my back. You think you're the victim? Try again." And I hung up. I'm not done. Not by a long shot. He thought Sundays were his escape. Now every day is a consequence. I thought the fallout would be the end, that once the truth detonated, the wreckage would settle. But Tom wasn't done. He's not the kind of man who takes responsibility and disappears quietly. He's the kind that flails. He showed up again 3 nights later. This time, he didn't knock, just banged on the door like a cop in a raid. I was in pajamas, half asleep, and suddenly there he was on my porch, red-eyed and furious, holding a wedding photo. "You think you can just erase me?" he shouted, voice cracking. The picture was cracked, literally. Shattered glass spiderwebbing across our smiling faces, our perfect little lie. "You're throwing this away for what? Revenge? You think you're the victim here?" I didn't respond. I just stood there and stared at the photo in his hand, the one we took in Sedona, sunset behind us, the one I used to keep on the nightstand before I realized it was fiction. He kept talking, ranting, swearing, pacing the porch like a lunatic. "You embarrassed me. Do you understand what you did to my reputation?" That's when I started recording. I didn't say a word. Just held up my phone and filmed. He noticed immediately. You're recording this? Really, Elena? Are you serious? Dead serious, I said. Keep going. He stopped, breathing hard, and for a moment I saw the panic bleed through the rage. The realization that this wasn't just a marriage ending. This was documentation, consequences. The very thing he'd always danced around. He backed off eventually, said I was being cruel, said he was going to get custody. Of what, I asked. The daughter you never told your wife about? He didn't answer, just stormed off muttering threats. That should have been the end. But Melissa, again, decided to raise the stakes. 3 days later, I get a call at work. It's my office manager, confused. Says someone came by asking to speak to me. Said she was my sister. It was Melissa, showing up at my job, my place of work, trying to talk like adults. I met her in the parking lot. She was already crying. I didn't know he was going to lose everything, she said. I thought you just wanted him to be honest. I laughed. You thought wrong. She pulled out her phone, tried to show me pictures. Said her daughter was having nightmares, that she keeps asking why daddy's mad all the time. I didn't look at the photos. I didn't care. You brought this on yourselves, I said. All of this? The lies, the hiding, the manipulation? You built this mess. Then I looked her dead in the eyes. And now I'm going to bury it. The next morning, I called the Little League board, told them about the insurance fraud. See, Tom had claimed to be single. No dependents, no outside guardianship. Standard stuff to coach kids. But his application was a lie. And I had proof. Screenshots, insurance forms, copies of our marriage license, everything. And just like that, they opened an investigation. Not just into him, but the team itself. The whole league chapter got flagged. Parents are pissed. Other coaches are calling for a vote to expel him permanently. His name is now whispered like a cautionary tale. Tom's legacy? A pile of ruined Sundays and a daughter who's now not allowed on the field because her dad lied too many times. I didn't touch his money. I didn't key his car. But I burned what mattered to him most, his second life. And I'm just getting started. After the Little League board meeting, it spread fast. Tom's name got dragged in group chats, parent forums, even the neighborhood Facebook page. I didn't post a thing. Didn't have to. People love a scandal, especially when it comes with screenshots and quietly whispered, "Did you hear?" Energy. Melissa tried to play cleanup. She made this syrupy post about choosing peace during family transitions with a filtered picture of her daughter holding a baseball glove. Caption, "We're still a team no matter what the scoreboard says." Barf. I didn't respond publicly, but you better believe I screenshotted that post and sent it to the league's ethics committee, along with the footage I filmed of Tom's porch meltdown, and a nice little note pointing out how inappropriate it is for a league under investigation to let its disgraced coach's girlfriend PR spin the narrative like it's a Hallmark movie. Then came the final straw. Saturday morning. I'm sipping coffee, finally feeling like maybe the chaos is quieting down, when I hear a smack against my front door, like something thrown. I open it. There's a smashed bouquet of flowers on the porch. Cheap gas station ones already wilting. No note, just impact. My neighbor saw him, said Tom came by in his truck, parked halfway on my lawn, stood there for a minute like he was trying to decide whether to knock or burn the place down. That's when I knew. He wasn't just spiraling, he was unraveling. So I gave him something to unravel about. I went to his work's HR director, the same one who'd suspended him, and I told her everything I'd left out before. The affair, the secret child, the insurance fraud, but more importantly, the double life. How he used company time to coach, how he falsified his availability, how he leveraged family leave to play dad on Sundays and lie to his actual wife every other day. She was stunned, said it violated multiple internal codes of conduct, not to mention the personal ethics clause in his contract. By Monday, his employment status was changed from suspended to terminated with cause. And then I did the one thing I swore I wouldn't. I told his mother. Tom's mom, Gloria, is this old-school Southern woman who wears lipstick to check the mail and believes every family secret can be fixed with a casserole and passive aggression. But she loved me. Still does, apparently. I showed up at her house, handed her a printed copy of the divorce petition. Yes, I filed, and said, "You deserve to know why your son's life is falling apart." She sat on the porch swing in silence while I talked. By the end, her hand was over her mouth and she whispered, "Jesus, Elena, I'm so sorry." And then she said the one thing I didn't expect. He's always done this, since he was a boy. Turns out Tom's been running, hiding parts of himself, lying when things got uncomfortable. She told me about an ex-girlfriend who vanished after high school, a bad credit card debt he lied about for years, a dog he rehomed without telling her, always running, always rewriting. And then she hugged me, tight, like I was the one who needed comforting. I left that house knowing one thing for sure. I wasn't the first person Tom had broken, but I would be the last. Update 2. So I didn't expect this many of you to still be here, but wow, The DMS, savage. Y'all really said, get him so good his next life flinches. And honestly, that's kind of exactly what happened. Let me catch you up. After I told Gloria, his mom, and filed for divorce, I thought I'd finally feel peace, like the storm had passed. But you don't walk away from a man like Tom without him trying one last desperate Hail Mary. This past weekend, I hosted a little get-together. Just a few friends, wine, music. Something normal to remind myself life doesn't end at betrayal. Around 9 p.m., I step outside to check on the grill and see a car parked across the street. Headlights off. Just sitting there. It was Tom, watching. Like some low-budget ghost haunting a house he doesn't live in anymore. I didn't confront him, didn't flinch. I went back inside, cranked the music, and toasted to freedom. But inside, I knew it was time to go nuclear. So here's what I did. Remember all those little lies Tom told over the years? The money missing from our savings account? The trips that fell through? I started connecting the dots. And guess what I found? A hidden PayPal account, not under his name, under his daughter's name, set up with a secondary email, bank statement tied to it, ours, my name on it, which means legally, fraudulent as hell. That was the final key. I went straight to my lawyer. We amended the divorce filing to include financial misconduct. And that opened the door for everything. Asset seizure, criminal liability, the whole works. But here's the cold part. I didn't send the paperwork to Tom. I sent it to Melissa, with a note attached. Since you wanted to build a life together, thought you should know the foundation is crumbling. No threats, no rage, just facts and receipts. She called me 27 minutes later, screaming, crying, babbling about how she didn't sign up for this, that she had no idea Tom used their daughter's name, that she was going to lose her job if this went public. I told her to call a lawyer, the same way I had to, and then I blocked her. As for Tom, he hasn't contacted me since. Not a text, not a knock, just vanished. Like a roach scurrying into a crack once the lights come on. And me? I changed the locks, switched my last name back, bought new sheets, and yesterday, I had a picnic, solo, at the field where his little secret life used to play out every Sunday. Same bleachers, same diamond, but this time I was the one watching the sun go down. No secrets, no lies, just peace. Final part coming next. Tom's last act, and mine. There's a strange quiet that settles in after you ruin someone who thought they were untouchable. It's not triumphant. It's not even relief. It's just still, like your soul's holding its breath, waiting to see what rises from the wreckage. I thought I was done. I thought I'd closed every door, burned every lie to ash. But Tom had one more act in him. It started with a voicemail, blocked number, one ring, then silence. I checked my phone hours later and found the message. Elena, his voice, ragged, almost slurred. I know you think you've won, but you didn't get everything. There's still one more thing I didn't tell you. Click, that was it. No details. No explanation, just that eerie calm that people get when they have nothing left to lose. I didn't panic, I didn't even feel much, but I had to know. So I went back to the source of all his secrets, his email. I still had access. He never changed the password. And buried in the archive, past the league newsletters, the fake work excuses, the receipts for birthday gifts I never got, was an email from Melissa, dated 2 months before everything imploded. Subject, we can't keep hiding her. Her. I opened it. Inside was a conversation thread. Not about the daughter I already knew about, but another one, older, from before me. A girl named Lucy, 15, living with her grandmother in upstate New York. Tom had been sending hush money through Venmo, hundreds a month, labeled as consulting or car repairs. I felt my stomach twist. This wasn't just a secret life, this was a pattern. A man who collected families like poker chips and stashed them in different cities. And I, stupid, hopeful me, I was the one who believed I was his home. I printed the emails, every last one, and then I did the thing that would finally end it. I sent a package to the Little League board, another to his former employer's ethics committee, one more to his mother, and the last to Lucy's guardian. I wrote one sentence on a sticky note with each bundle. Ask him who he really is. I don't know what came of all of them. I didn't wait for replies. I didn't need to, because a week later, Tom's truck disappeared from his apartment complex. Lease ended. Phone disconnected. He was gone. Not dead. Not punished by a court. Just erased. And for the first time since I followed him that Sunday morning, I didn't care where he went. Because the war was over. And I'd won. Not because I destroyed him, but because I survived him. It's funny what you remember when the dust finally settles. I stood in the hallway last night, barefoot on cold tile, staring at a crooked picture frame. One of those dumb stock photo ones we never got around to filling. I always meant to put a picture of us in there. Me and Tom at the lake or on the couch, or at that stupid cabin we rented for our anniversary where the hot tub never worked. But we never did. It just hung there for 6 years. Blank. And now I think, Maybe that was the most honest thing in the house. I took it down. Not angrily, not dramatically, just quietly. I unscrewed the hook, set it on the floor, and felt the weight of every fake smile, every lie-spackled memory peel away. Then I walked into my kitchen and made breakfast for dinner. Because I could. Because it was mine again. No more wondering why he was late. No more gaslighting Sunday mornings. No more invisible daughter hanging between us like a ghost. You want to know the cruelest part? I didn't hate him. Not really. Hate requires too much space in your heart. And after all of this, there just wasn't any room left. Not for him. I'd filled it with things that mattered. Peace, honesty, my own damn name. Back on the mailbox. I started therapy, joined a kickboxing class, deleted every trace of him from my phone, except for one screenshot. A picture of the insurance form where he added Melissa's daughter without telling me. Not because I want revenge, because I want to remember what it feels like to be lied to by someone who swore they loved you. That picture? That's my tattoo now. Not on my skin, but in my bones. I saw Melissa once, at a grocery store. She was pushing a cart with her daughter in the front, little glove still clipped to her backpack. Our eyes met for half a second. She looked away first. She knew. They always know eventually. And as for Tom, the last I heard he was somewhere in Arizona. New phone, new job, maybe trying to start a new Sunday. But here's the thing, he'll never outrun this. Because no matter where he goes, he knows someone out there saw every side of him and survived. I didn't just leave the marriage, I set the bridge on fire and danced in the smoke. So if you're reading this and you're stuck in that same suffocating silence, wondering why he always has excuses, why your instincts scream but your mouth stays shut, follow him. Ask the question. Check the password. Because once you know, you can never unknow, but you can finally begin.